It's the appointed time, so we'd like to call the Budget Committee to order. And before we get started, though, I would like for all of the commissioners to turn on their microphones so that we make sure everybody can be heard. Do we have any visitors wishing to address the committee?
Chairman, my name is Linda Noe, 2343 Joe Stevens Road. I understand you're here on the debt fund, and I would assume it relates to the issue of adding 3 cents to our tax rate and putting that 3 cents into the debt fund, the revenue from it. Is that correct? Okay. Again, this is for the jail and/or for the West High project. Of course, about $75 million is left for jail purposes of whatever kind, jail, justice center, property, fees, everything. What I want to talk about is, again, asking you to look at other ideas to save money. Even if you build a 4-story or 3-story, whatever you want to call it, multi-story jail, you could easily, like that, save $15 million by renovating the existing Justice Center. But I never hear anyone say one word about that possibility. Of course, I realize who's driving this train, and you all are just the rubber stampers, as it were. But I want to talk about the 2 property purchases. And you can get all bent out of shape, that's fine. I get bent out of shape when you violate the law and when you let the mayor violate the law. For example, in the Wilder purchase agreement, it says the county will provide a threat of eminent domain letter. I have never heard this county commission in public mention eminent domain as to any property over there, and certainly not as to the Wilder property. So that tells me that the mayor and Mr. LaBelle negotiated the deal, and they would be, logically, the source of that threat. I think you need to find out if that was a threat given on behalf of, you are the ones that could do eminent domain, the mayor can't do it. It would be saying that you all were threatening eminent domain. In the purchase agreement with Ms. Wilder, it also says that the first purchase agreement, you actually have 2. The first one said that the county would indemnify Ms. Wilder. The county would assume certain risks if certain things happened that were negative and affected her. The second agreement didn't say that, because counties and cities cannot indemnify an individual and take on the risk of another person other than the county itself. I'm glad somebody somewhere reviewed that and changed it. When John Baskett entered into a contract with Loomis Armed Services, and at one time Mr. Goins asked about that, whether we'd gotten out of that contract, and we did, because that was an illegal contract. He didn't bring it to county commission. But right now, you're allowing the mayor, you allowed him with Dave Wright to select an architect without an RFP, and then you approved a contract, despite the fact there was no RFP. Now, with Realtor Services with Mr. LaBelle, in 2016, the mayor knew to do an RFP, and then Mr. LaBelle was selected, and then a contract was brought to you and you approved it. That's the way you do it. Now, though, the mayor picked Mr. LaBelle, came to some agreement on a fee somehow, never told you about it, never brought a contract with Mr. LaBelle to you like he did in 2016. And here we are. By what authority does he go out, pick somebody, enter into a contract, and then tell you all later? Or pick somebody and come to you and tell you, I picked somebody, now you need to rubber stamp this. When will you hold other people accountable besides us minions or taxpayers? When will you do it? Thank you.
Do we have any other visitors wishing to address the committee?
Gwendolyn Holden, 8150 West Point Drive. Y'all spend a lot of money on jail. We working people that worked and paid taxes, we'd like to have our roads fixed. And I agree with Ms. Nolley. I don't even know why you all got voted in. Because you don't have them under your own. You let somebody else pull your strings. And what I need is my road fixed. We got potholes on top of potholes. Take some of that jail money that you're giving for the jail and fix our roads. We can't even get our roads paid. That's a shame, as much taxes as we're paying. And here you are going to go up 3 cents more? Can we have some of that for roads? Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Do we have any additional visitors wishing to address the committee?
Bonnie Bullington, 317 Stubblefield Street, Whitesburg. I'm kind of new to the Hamlin County government. And when I first came, my first meeting, I thought it was awesome. And I still commend you guys on making Hamlin County a Second Amendment sanctuary. You did a great job. But since then, I hear so much that it just blows me away. I fought Greene County commissioners for 20 plus years, and I never once, as awful as they were, have seen anything pushed through like this jail, or as some people call it, Taj Mahal, is being pushed. There can't be any doubt in any of your minds that the taxpayers don't want this fancy jail. They don't want a Taj Mahal. We realize that we need a jail, but this is the wrong way to go about it, and you're paying no attention to the taxpayers. You know, we pay you guys, you work for us, but you're not listening to us. It's a shame. It's time somebody starts listening, or somebody's going to be losing their jobs come voting time. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to address the committee?
Eddie Cox, I live in Bolton Ridge, 1804. Every time I come to a meeting, I've been starting company. And I've been sitting here on the front row. The mayor, every time he come up to speak, he told you who he's going to get, talking about the jail and everything. But people don't think what I live in the city and the mountain. And you think the county's right. You try to go to a meeting in the city, what they're spending down here on the in the town, and don't need it down here on the in the town. They got two things going in there, all the steakhouses, all that. City's raising taxes again on everything. And here, everybody blaming the mayor, and you all do it. You all got jobs. I know 3 of you right here's got a job. It's coming out of your pocket too, and I don't see why. And they don't know how. You go down here load and buy a tube of foil. You used to buy 80 cents for a tube of foil. Now it's $8 for a tube of foil. Concrete's shot up sky high. Ain't nothing cheap anymore to build anything. Houses, blocks, bricks, brick mason, and everything. If they got out here and start studying about the carpenters and the stuff to build the jail, that's why everything's so high. And the land, we got the land out here, half the land out here, and I know you got to buy it every little bit. And people you're talking about, and he done brought the 3 times up here about the houses up here. And so, I mean, I think if you bring the records and check the records and check the camera. I mean, you got the camera here all the time. Re-bring the cameras and check it on back what the mayor has said and all the people up here. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to address the committee? If not, in old business, we have none. in new business, we have the debt service fund, Fund 151, Mayor Brittain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You asked that we bring the debt service back to the committee after we get the certified tax rate and agree to consider it some more. And so that's what we've done. In your handouts today, there's a replacement for tab 53 in your notebook. So be sure and pull out the old information and tab 53 and just lay it on the floor and we'll pick it up and just don't get it confused. So it's in the top right hand corner, it says draft 2, July 2nd, 2020. So this is the second draft of the debt service fund budget. As far as changes to the budget, I guess the most significant one is on the revenue side. And that is, we put in 34 cents in property tax, which included 31 cents from the certified tax rate, and then a 3-cent increase to generate $462,000 to pay for future debt payments for the Justice Center and West High renovation. So basically, bottom line is that if you look at the table on the PowerPoint presentation that's on your screen or in your presentation, we'll generate about $7 million in revenue with appropriations about $4,800,000 and build the fund balance to $8.7 million. Now, here is a chart that shows the debt service schedule through, I think it's 2040. And what the dotted blue line is your fund balance. And so the fund balance that we're projecting for the end of next fiscal year is just over $8 million. And so it would build over the next couple of years to over $9 million. And as we issue more debt for the projects, then we start using fund balance until I think it's around 2026. And then we start building fund balance again when our payments go under what our revenue will be. Now, the 3 cents that are proposed is the only additional revenue that we'll need for the project. And so this will fund it all as far as building the building and buying the property and doing the site development. And this is for both West High and the Justice Center. So I guess the bottom line as far as debt service goes is for next fiscal year, we'll issue another $20 million, which will be the second $20 million for the project. And then the 3 cents will take care of the revenue stream needed to finance the project. Mm-hmm. Mr. Chairman, I'm open to questions.
Does anyone have any additional questions? Is it your belief that if we have that increase and we build up that surplus, what do we perceive is going to happen after the next 2 years as far as any predictable increases?
As far as servicing debt,
Yes.
we won't need any. And then now, as far as funding, staffing, there'll be some need for additional revenue as we phase in the staffing plan. But as far as the debt service and borrowing money for this project, we won't need any.
might be the appropriate time to ask this question, that turn over a couple of pages and explain the third-type property tax rate to us.
If you look at the last page of presentation, this is the table about the certified tax rate that we went over the other day, and the left column is the current tax rate, and then for the various funds, you have the general fund, the Board of Education, and general debt service, which are, those are tax rates that are applied countywide, both city property and property outside the city. Sanitation is the property tax rate that helps fund garbage collection and bulk waste collection, and that's only charged on property outside the city. The certified tax rate column is what the state came back with, a certified tax rate of $1.93 and 62 hundredths. So $1 or 1.9362. That's what the state Property Assessment Division came back with as far as the certified tax rate. Then it's up to us to divide it the way that we want to. And what we did, we took the current percentages and applied it to that new rate, and that's what we came up with, was 0.6181 for general fund, 0.7999 for schools, 0.3091 for debt service, and 0.2091 for sanitation. And as our practice has been through the years, is to round up, and so we rounded the 0.6182 to 62 cents, schools to 80 cents, debt service to 31, and sanitation to 21, for a total tax rate of $1.94. So that's rounded up less than a penny, less than a half a cent. And then what the last column on the proposed is to adopt the rounded certified rate except for debt service, and that's with the 3 cent increase. So the total tax rate would be $1.97 for property outside the city. For property inside the city, it would be $1.76.
And the current is
213. We're going down. Your property values go up and the tax rate goes down.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just roughly, what would this 3 cents cost for somebody that owned $150,000 property?
It's $3.75 a penny, so that's less than, it's about $1 a month.
Thank you.
I've got Molly and
Any other questions? We have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second, any other discussion? If not, roll call on this one.
Eileen Arline,
yes.
Chris Cupshaw,
Aye.
Randy DeBoer,
Yes.
Thomas Doty,
Yes.
Tim Goins,
Aye.
Bobby Hahn,
Aye.
Joe Huntsman,
Yes.
Howard Shipley,
Aye.
Jim Stepp,
Yes.
Taylor Ward,
Yes.
and yes, no nos. Motion passes. 3 yes. 4 yes.
The local government support grant.
And in your handout, if you'll turn to the page of the local government grant, what the state legislature did, they decided to do this before the COVID broke out, and that was share some of the revenue that they had collected over the past couple of years with local governments and send it back to local governments. The first amount that they appropriated before they adjourned the first time was right around $1 million for Hamlin County, and then the city gets an amount as well. And then when they went back into session in June, they increased the amount for Hamlin County to $1,254,914. So these are funds that have no restrictions. We can use them for capital purchases because, or I would prefer it be for capital purchases because it's one-time money. We don't need to expect to get it again next year. And what I've listed here are some capital items and some estimates on what they would cost. In the budget, in the general fund budget document, we do not have any money in for sheriff vehicles. So we could pay for the sheriff vehicles out of this grant money. The tasers, there's 1 year, it's a 5-year contract for the tasers. And the first year of that is in the general fund budget. I've asked the sheriff's department to talk to the vendor and see what kind of discount we would get if we paid it all up front. And we could use the grant money to do that and take that expense out of our general fund budget for the next 5 years. I haven't heard back from the sheriff's department on whether they were able to negotiate anything. So this 126 for the tasers is the full amount for the 5 years. Our litter crew, we have 2 litter crews. One is inmates that are housed in the workhouse. Now, they haven't been out, of course, over the last 2 weeks or so because of the positive tests in the workhouse. But we have a second crew, which is the crew that basically these folks decide to pick up litter rather than go to jail. And this is a program that Judge Collins operates through his budget and through his court, and Don Beard operates it. And what we've been doing the past month or so is work with the sanitation department and send this crew out ahead of the bulk waste trucks and pick up small loads to try to reduce the number of stops for the bulk waste trucks so that they'll speed them up in trying to catch up with their routes. And so we had a trailer. We have a trailer that with I think it's 4-foot sides on it that we got through a recycle grant from Alcoa about 5 years ago, and we use that trailer some, but we don't have a vehicle to really pull it. And where this crew, if they had like a crew cab truck and could pull the trailer and then stay out on the road and make fewer trips to the landfill and to be more efficient with their work that they're trying to do to help our bulk waste trucks be more efficient. So that's what that pickup truck is all about. I put a price in there for a used truck that we could use to haul that trailer. IT equipment, we could upgrade the wireless system throughout the courthouse and justice center, and also prepare our infrastructure for our backup internet service provider. More and more of our systems are dependent on, they're internet-based, they're web-based, and their storage is cloud-based. And so when our internet goes down here, we're dead in the water. We might as well not open the doors. And so what the goal of this is to upgrade our infrastructure and have a backup internet service provider. So basically, if our primary internet service provider goes down, then we switch over to the backup internet service provider. So that's what that's for. The new phone system, the phone system that we have currently in this complex and in the Justice Center is over 20 years old. And so it's not supported. It's hard to find pieces now or parts when they try to repair it. And this $125,000 is, we haven't bid it or anything like that. We did get a quote just in case. We had an opportunity to fund a new phone system, and that's what a new phone system would be in that neighborhood. It could be a cloud-based system. The technology is so much different than what we have today, so we would investigate that. The $20,000 for the COVID equipment. There are kiosks to take temperatures. So if instead of paying someone or let's say we add the kiosk to where we enter the Justice Center or the historic courthouse or down here in the breezeway, we'd have someone, could be scanned, and then they could step into this kiosk and take a temperature. So this is something we've seen.
Is that something we expect? I mean, is this our new normal?
Until there's a vaccine developed.
I understand that, but I mean, to invest this at this time. You see what I'm saying? I just wonder.
Right.
Is it,
I guess this is an alternative to paying somebody to do it.
Well, they're gonna be there anyway, correct?
There is, yes.
I mean, if they're gonna be there, you can.
Except for maybe, yeah.
It's just a thought.
Sure. So, I mean, that's an alternative. Let's see, flooring, there were in our budget meetings, there was flooring requested in the assessor's office, which is, the carpet in the assessor's office is the original carpet, and it's got holes in it. And then the first floor in this building is requested to be replaced with something similar to what's out in the hallway here, and those were about $15,000 each. The ADA improvements to the Hale House, you could pay them from these dollars or from the dollars for the project, for the Justice Center project. ADA compliance, what the architect's looking at is a ramp to enter the building and a ADA compliant bathroom. We do not have estimates on that yet. They're working on that now. And then road paving, we could use a large sum of the money to pave roads. Using that money, put that in instead of putting it in the highway fund, you put it in highway capital projects where it doesn't add to our maintenance of effort in local funding for highway. And then there's a fund, an amount here that's not designated. But these are just ideas. If you have other ideas, I mean, you guys make the decisions, but these are just some ideas that...
There's some questions.
Sure.
On the ADA compliance at the Hill House, was any of that money set aside out of that loan to take care of that ramp?
It's in the budget. I mean, I've mentioned it before. And both renovations to the Hale House and renovations to the Justice.
Another thing was that trailer behind that truck. What's the size of that trailer? You know about what the size of the trailer is?
No, it's big.
Lengthwise. I just wonder if
I can get that.
Just wonder if the truck that they have now at the City of Martin pulls with it will pull that trailer. Well, I wonder.
Okay.
I have the ton truck.
Is it a V8? What is it?
It is.
No, that would,
If it's that big, it can't be at least a 250 or 350.
I'm sorry.
A 150 probably, their transmission for that.
yeah, I wouldn't think of 150.
It's just something to check on.
Okay.
Next, it's possible. I know you haven't got estimates yet on some of these here.
Right.
If it's possible, is any money left over on any of these revenues? I think one thing we got coming down the pipe that we've looked at in a long time, for a long time, is road paving. There's any, say one of these comes up 10,000 under, but you're under. Could all that money here on this one is 1,254,914? Could it be directed to road paving?
Sure. Wherever you want to use it.
If we come up good on some of these, take that money straight to road paving.
Yes.
My question is, last year, how many cars did the sheriff's department get last year? You remember?
5 to 7 in that neighborhood.
I want another 8. I think we need to cut a few of those vehicles out, get 4 vehicles, 2 vehicles. They don't need this many cars. They got 2 cars on at night. I don't know how many they got on in the daytime. Not at night, they say they only have 2 cars on.
Well, each shift, they have 4 teams, okay? And there's 4 on each shift. Now, some nights they may have 2 because somebody's sick or on vacation or training or that kind of thing. But there's 4.
I understand. I think, you know, every year, 8 cars here, 7 cars here, whatever, you know, I think we could take it back a little bit, a couple cars, 3 cars.
Well, we haven't come to a recommendation on it, but there is the lease program that we've mentioned before, and I did ask those questions you asked about the maintenance. And now in the sheriff's vehicles, there's no maintenance included in the payments, but in the other vehicles, it's all in there and it covers the basic changes and that kind of thing. It does cover that.
And that's the two lease vehicles.
Yes, yeah, that would be if, what this means in here is we purchase, the 280, we purchase 8. We'd purchase them, or we could pay 2 years' worth of lease payments. You'd say, and then therefore, that we would eliminate a year of lease payments in the 4-year plan.
Has it been calculated, is there going to be savings?
There's a cash flow savings for sure. And like, for example, Tim, here's, and I can give this to you after the meeting, but year one, this is to get 10 vehicles through a lease program. Year one, it cost us $108,000 instead of $350,000 if we bought them. Year two, you would pay the second year on the first 10 and the first year on another 10. And that's $201,000. So out of this money, we could spend $310,000, or let's say $300,000, and pay 2 of those lease payments. It's more. Now, I'm not the salesperson for this, and I would prefer him to be here to make the presentation on it, but it's more, these programs are more for cash flow purposes, to reduce the cash flow that's
But
needed.
the end result, we're going to pay more.
On these vehicles, not necessarily what he, now this is the sales pitch, okay? All right, is that, all right, here's the advantages of it. All right, it's a 4-year, $100,000 replacement strategy is what it is. You keep the cars 4 years or when they reach $100,000 or 100,000 miles. All right, they're newer, they're more reliable, fewer breakdowns, lower maintenance costs because of a newer fleet, better fuel economy because you have newer cars in better condition. And then Enterprise is who we've been working with. We'll do all the work as far as the purchasing and all that. But it comes off the state bid, they purchase the cars.
Right, it's a national account type.
Yes,
deal.
yes.
Yeah, what if we went down this road and tried it out?
We could.
Well,
I mean, that's why we're looking at it. We're looking at it seriously to see if it makes financial sense.
And, you know, maybe we can get some background from somebody that has used it.
We would have an additional expense to equip these vehicles with lights and things like that.
That includes that.
And include,
Now, we've had Commissioner DeBoard on a call with the sales rep and to have someone representing you guys with him. So he has had a conversation with them, but we're not, I'm not standing here recommending it. I'm not there yet. So,
I thought we did, went to ask others like the city of Martin and others, the counties, if they had done a lease program, how that went. Did we question you?
we haven't made those contacts yet. There's Hamilton County, I think Blount County, I'm not sure Blount County. There's 3 or 4 different counties in Tennessee who've done it. Hamilton County for sure, because I have that contact information.
And Mayor Brittain, could we set up those calls with the sales rep not there so that we could
Sure.
hear out what they truly expect?
With the references you're saying?
Yes,
Yes.
with Hamilton and Blunt.
Yes.
Was Severe the other one?
No, not severe, but it might have been in Middle Tennessee somewhere.
I understand we need a lot more information before we make this decision, but I would think 8 cars is a little much. again this year.
I've got another question. I know at one time we talked about changing the main entrance of the courthouse for security reasons. Are we dropping that?
No, we've got to be able to move the clerk's office to be able to do that. And because Teresa wants that office, because of the records there, especially the juvenile records, there needs to be there doesn't need to be a hallway through it. And so the opening breezeway and making it the main entrance, that would be a hallway into this side. And we could close that other space off. And the idea that's been suggested to me by people that work in this building is that the veteran service officer move there, and there be a larger waiting area because he usually has people waiting on him. So, but to answer your question, no, it's not been dropped.
On the IT equipment that who are we currently using for our, is it?
FiberNet,
Yes.
FiberNet.
And the other person that would be,
It could be Charter, it could be any of the other ISPs, AT&T.
Well, will you seek bids from these people?
Yes, yes. And what we could do, if you want, is we're working on finalizing the general fund now to have it to present to you next week, and is we can put the revenue in, and maybe put some of the, I guess one of the main questions is, a lot of this money would go in the general fund, but like the road paving would go into capital highway or highway capital projects fund. So we need to move that, put that money in capital projects fund, and then whatever you want spent for general fund purposes in the general fund. So I don't need a decision. I mean, we can decide this next week, exactly how much you want to spend on what. But if you could give us guidance, all right, we want to spend approximately this much money on paving and this much money on other capital, and we can divide that money up and you make the specific decisions later.
And well, you haven't got any, it's just estimates,
Correct.
so we really don't know that number.
The tasers the sheriff's vehicles are $35 a piece, and that's what the sheriff's department gave us, $35,000 a piece. The tasers are from a quote. The pickup truck is just an estimate. We did buy a couple of 6-cylinder pickups this past year for around $20,000. The IT is just an estimate. We don't have any quotes or anything on that. The phone system is a quote estimate from a provider. The COVID is from not only the kiosk, which we have some prices on, but also for PPE and other items like that. The flooring are from quotes that we've received. The ADA compliance piece is just an estimate. We don't have any quotes on that. And the road paving is just a lump sum that we put down here. What Barry say, it's about $125,000 a mile to pave. So, and then the $73,000 is what's left over from those.
When do we expect to hear a final report from the architect on the health officer?
I expect it any time. I know he's been talking to our maintenance folks about the maintenance building.
So there's a good possibility that will be on the agenda next month?
Yes.
Okay.
I personally think that kiosk is going to be, at this time, it's just going to be a waste. Personally.
Okay. Is that the consensus?
Did I understand you correctly? Either way, we're going to have to pay somebody to be there?
I mean, they are already there, except the county clerk's office is paying somebody to take temperatures at the breezeway. But the other two are already staffed.
Can you explain that just a little bit more? I mean, we've got somebody at these entries. I mean, I brought up the question, is it our new norm? Do we want to invest this 20 until we know? I mean, you know, vaccine may be out before the end of the year and things calm down, it's just a thought,
Sure.
you know.
I'm not, again, this is just a thought too. I'm not ready to stand here and recommend that we do it. This is an idea that we could go down that path and look into.
Okay.
And we'll have to get quotes for it.
I would concur that we hold off on that right
Okay, are we going to hear from the jail justice center architects next month?
In August, there's,
It'll be August?
their plan right now is that they will have the construction drawings done in August. And they've been working with staff, like, yesterday, we had jail staff and the clerk's office, met with a designer on, storage spaces, storage units, and what's used for property storage for, inmates, and storage for, filing systems. And then next week, we have the judges are going to see a 3D model of what their courtrooms are going to look like. They'll be able to sit in that chair in this animation and just kind of look at all the angles in the new courtrooms and what they'll look like. And we'll show that to you guys too. The judges will be able to see that and direct the team on any changes they want to see. So we're working with them every day in some aspect of the design. I mean, we can, if you want to take this and just mull on it, we can talk some more about it on Tuesday. But I guess the biggest thing we need a decision is how much money do you want to go to paving and how much do you want to go to everything else?
now. You don't need that right now, though.
No,
Okay.
we can do that Tuesday.
But the thing it is, you gotta remember, depending how much money you put in paving, he can only do so much of it anyways. So,
One thing, Tim, on this money, okay, we could, I mean, you're right, okay? We could save our money that our people pay and use this money,
yeah, that's true.
and use the other money later. Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got for tonight.
All right. In announcements, we've got upcoming budget meetings on July the 7th, General Fund 101, and Highway Capital Project Fund 176, on July the 9th. Day open for the budget decisions. And that's all we have. We're adjourned.